Globaltronics.
Every coffee needs a lotus.
community for new beginnings. It's nice easing back into old routines, only now with extra care. Let's do it for ourselves, for our loved ones, for everyone's safety.
Hurry up, let's go. Let's go.
And staying safe starts at home.
Nice.
From how we work and learn, to the little ways we find joy. If you must head out, take extra care. Making a small effort, being mindful, they go a long way to keeping us all safe. The health of all depends on each one of us. So let's work together, using new tools and keeping to our new habits to protect the people we love. At work, let's all be good team players.
Hi, good morning. How are you? Good.
A little distance between us today will be good for us all tomorrow. A little care can protect the one thing that means the world to us. So let's do our part.
The views and opinions expressed by the speaker, host, commentator, or other third party in Ariva webinars, e-learning events, and/or virtual masterclass are those of the speaker, host, commentator, or third party and do not necessarily reflect and represent the views and opinions of Ariva. Furthermore, Ariva does not warrant, express, or imply the merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose of any product information, service, or process presented by the speaker, host, commentator, or third party, and Ariva specifically disclaims any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any product information, service, or process presented. Finally, material or information presentation, opinion, process, or service by, on any trade name, trademark, manufacturer, or otherwise during Ariva webinars, e-learning events, and/or virtual masterclass do not constitute or imply Ariva's endorsement or recommendation of such opinion, process, service, item, or organization.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ariva Academy's free live webinar, Building a Culture of Innovation into a Hybrid Working Model, Successfully Drive Innovation in Flexible Work Environments. I'm Kate, and I'll be with you the whole morning as your host. And yes, I will also be learning with you, listening to our speaker. I'm really excited to welcome everyone this morning. I hope everyone is having a beautiful morning like me. So before I introduce our speaker and before we start, I have a few reminders to make sure that our program will run smoothly the whole day. Ariva is committed to protecting your privacy, hence stricter security of this webinar has been implemented. So for better viewing of your Zoom experience, we encourage you to please update your Zoom application by visiting their website. And for those of you who are using their mobile gadgets to view the webinar, you can go to either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store so you can download and install the Zoom app. Now, I want to know who here is attending an Ariva Academy webinar for the first time. Please type hi in the chat box. We would love to get to know you and welcome you. Type hi. Meron ba ditong first timers? Hi, Erlinda. Good morning, Chris. Ang bilis. Marami. Good morning, Myra, Jennifer, Annalisa, Mary, Chin, Ansel. Good morning, Rodolfo, Joy, Francis. Hi, Christine, Irvin. Hi, Cyrene. Good morning, Lore. Ray Mabel. Hi, Natalie. Good morning, Angelo. Ronit. Melissa. Edeline. Magandang umaga, Michael, Jerson, and Arian. Well, we really have a lot of first-time attendees. Welcome to Ariva Academy. We are excited to have you here, and to our past attendees, welcome back to Ariva Academy. Thank you for joining us again. Now, let us do an audio check. I want to make sure that once our speaker is on screen, maririnig ninyo yung kanyang discussion clearly. So please type 111 in the chat box if you can hear me clearly. You can also type 222 if you can't hear anything. Type 2121 if the sound that you're hearing is breaking up, or question mark if you don't understand what is happening, so we can help you out. Let me check. Okay, so far everyone is typing 111. That's good to know. Now we'll have a 5-minute break later this morning. I'll announce that. So wait for that. But participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by our administrator during the discussion to avoid interruptions. We'll have a Q&A portion. During that time, you can click the raise hand button. Will allow you to unmute and ask your question directly to our speaker. Or you can also type your questions here in the chat box, and I will be reading them later. These certificates of attendance will be awarded to the participant who will successfully complete the entire virtual masterclass, and expect them 3 to 5 days after the e-learning session. Please help us build and improve our service with your comments and feedback. You can scan the QR code that's flashed on your screen right now. That will bring you to the feedback form. At the end of our session, fill out the form, and then send it back to us. Thank you so much. Okay, now it's time for me to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is a people-centric executive with 20 plus years of experience who has started from the ranks and became successful in the field of outsourcing, insurance, and telecommunications. She is currently in transition to her passion, which is human resource. She had invested in her learnings through SHRM and has achieved the highest form of certification given to HR professionals by SHRM, the Senior Certified Professional. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our speaker, the Chief People Officer of Home Credit Philippines, Miss Alpha Omega Aquino.
Thank you.
Good
Hi,
morning.
good morning, Kate. Wow, long time no see. I'm so happy to be back, and I'm so happy to know that we have quite a number of newbies, mga bago nating learners. And we have quite a number of participants as well in this Friday morning. Thank you so much for investing your time. So, kamusta ka na, Kate? Belated happy birthday.
Oh, thank you so much. Here I am excited for another free live webinar for our participants.
Okay, so maybe we can kick it off and start the ball rolling. Let me know if you can see my screen. Nakikita na ba ang building a culture of innovation?
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. So before anything else, I would like to introduce myself for some of you who is the new learners for the day. For the rest who are, suke of Ariva learning, thank you so much. Maybe you have seen me in one of the platforms, but just the same, I'm Alpha Omega Aquino. That's my real name, by the way. So if people are asking, totoo ba yan? Code name ba yan? And that's a very good icebreaker talaga. Every time I attend a training. So I am from the BPO industry for quite some time. I was an OFW for the last 15 years, was based in Jakarta, Indonesia. I speak fluent Bahasa. So dito nilagay ko, I'm the family driver. And I'm sure makaka-relate ang karamihan sa inyo na mga panganay dyan na siya lang ang marunong magmaneho. So I literally am the official designated driver of the family. So I have spent most of my career in overseas, 5 countries to be precise, and most of them was spent in Indonesia. And then it was really fun and at the same time humbling because, I guess for some of us here who has had the experience of working overseas prior pandemic, iba. So it's a humbling experience. And before we begin, I would like to request something sana from you. So ano ba itong stop, look, and listen? Ito po yung nakikita natin sa train station. Basically, I will need you all to stop what you're doing. Let's avoid multitasking. That's the plus and minus of having virtual trainings. Kung face-to-face tayo ngayon, I'm sure that you will all be looking at me and will stop looking at your handphones or whatever that you are doing. Look for the learnings that you will be able to see in the screen as I present this topic with all of you. And then if you have something that you hear, that you listen, feel free to chat, comment. This learning is for you. It was prepared by Ariva for all of you. So this is your time, this is your investment. Wag lang po tayong umasa sa e-certificate. Kailangan din po nating matuto from time to time. I mean, it's very rare that companies like Ariva does this free live webinar. Nag-agree po ba tayo? Kung nag-agree po tayo, isulat po natin ng 143 sa inyong comment box. Total, mabibilis naman ang mga internet ninyo sa ating 2,000 participants for the day. 140 nga po. Let's give some love to Ariva for doing such events like this. Okay. So like what I mentioned, feel free to comment and give remarks. So let's kick off with the tanong muna. So let's see if you can guess the word. Friday naman ngayon, 9:41 in the morning. What's the word that links this 4 together? What do you see? 6-letter word po ito. Can you type in? Are they typing in, Kate, sa mga hula nila kung anong word ito? It starts with the letter P.
Oh, well, what they're typing in is team, teamwork, people. What
Ah,
else?
perfect. So that person who guessed the word people, that's correct. So I will anchor the next coming slides to what really matters. So galing po ako, ngayon po, HR ako. I used to be in an operations role way back when I was in the BPO companies, and now I shifted to HR. And in this particular morning, I would like to share these slides with you, but I will be anchoring it to the people. Well, happens to be the most important asset of the company. And then what I think of building the culture of innovation, it will all be about people experience, the employee life cycle, and how do we make sure that, the culture of innovation works in the company. And I'll be sharing with you what we did in home credit. So if you notice the first slide that I put up, there's this Gold Stevie Award. And maybe I'll share with you bakit kami nanalo ng Gold Stevie Awards, which happens to be one of the most prominent and important award-giving bodies from the US. Ang trophy po nila ay ginawa pa, gumawa ng trophy nila is actually the ones who makes the Oscar trophy. And the thing that we want happens to be HR innovation. So balikan lang po natin. So sa hindi po HR dyan, at sa mga HR dyan, balikan po natin ang nakaraan. Ano po bang HR history? So the history of human resource look like this. In some company, unfortunately, they didn't move from the 1990s. So I call myself people officer and my teammates people and culture for the learning and development, talent acquisition. So naiba na po. The basic definition of humanistic management already tells you people matter as it should be. So kung hindi pa po nagmamatter sa ibang company dyan, kalampagin po natin. Sabihin niyo po kausapin si Alpha Omega Aquino kung bakit po importante ang people sa ating organization. So it has evolved. So human capital has vastly evolved. And one of the critical goals of HR is to ensure that people is at the front and center of the business. If companies will not have the courage to acknowledge this, then they are in the business that will not be sustainable. So there's one variable though that all of this makes it more interesting. Kung makikita po natin sa isang company that is business-centered, you will notice here that, people are just there because they need them to be there. However, for a company that is human-centered, they actually acknowledge that people are the driving force to make sure that the company moves forward. Business-centered, goals, rewards, incentives, kitang-kita pa po natin yan. I'm sure I have quite a number of friends that belongs to a company that basically this is what they focus on. However, it will be good to start off with having it human-centered. What do I mean? So it can be more of the inspiration, the skills empowerment. Marami po tayong nababasa, the great resignation, the great attrition, because some of the companies failed to move forward. So in the business center, they drive innovation with execution. Innovation is in silo. Unfortunately, that cannot happen. It has to be in collaboration with the other departments. Unless you're a company of one or an HR of one, then maybe it will be quite tough. But I do understand that, for some of us here, you have more than one in terms of your HR department. So execution always demands innovation, especially now. And I will share with you why do I say so. So in the business centered as well, you can see that they focus on growth and change. In the people or human centered, they actually learn from the problems and then they evolve, like what happened in the pandemic, right? Everybody suddenly was in the same plane, in the same level. Wala na po advanced, wala nang late. All of us during the pandemic happened to experience everything, and it's a global case, or it's a global pandemic that had happened. Business-centered, they're proud, confident, knowledgeable, and decisive. So human-centered, even the leadership skills, now we are focusing on that. It's more of the critical thinking, the empathy, the humility, and there's a growth mindset. So zooming in, I would focus on this massive change and program initiatives. Ngayon, it should be iterative. Ano po bang ibig sabihin ng iterative? So iterative is if it's not relevant anymore, then you have to change it. So you will hear a lot of agile mindset, agile way of thinking. I'm sure Ariva has some learning opportunities regarding that topic. But what I'm saying is even in HR, we need to be such because the people's needs evolves every now and then. So what I was telling you about is all of this have the special variable that came into play when the pandemic happened. And this is this 5-letter word. So when you look at these pictures, ano po ba ang nade-describe dito bukod sa mataas ang gasolina? I think that's electronic. So 5-letter word, ano po ito? What's the word that links these three together and the variable that made everything special during the pandemic, especially in the working scenario? Buzzword po ito ngayon. Can you chat your answers, please? So it will be more interactive for us. Ano ba to? When you see this picture, sa mga mahihilig mag-games dyan na word pick or something, just look at the guy. Half and half. Ano bang tawag sa half and half yan?
The
May
answers
nakahula ba?
you're typing here, wheels, hybrid, balance.
Perfect. That's the word that I was looking for, hybrid. Naririnig po natin yan sa lahat ng company, especially doon sa roles or companies that can have different or varying type of employees. Like for myself, I have employees who are situated in the shopping mall. So that's 7,000 of them are salespeople. They have to be in the shopping malls. Unfortunately, they cannot do hybrid because the customers has to be in the shopping mall. However, for people like myself who's supporting them, I'm doing hybrid. I'm currently in the office right now here in BGC. And we do encourage our employees to come at least twice a week. But the primary purpose really is to collaborate. So kung nandito ka at nag-zoom ka lang din naman or nag-MS Teams ka, so that defeats the purpose. So it means different for different people. So let me share with you this video and to give you more idea about what hybrid ba is all about. And this is coming from Gartner. Let's watch this.
Today, I want to talk to you about the future of hybrid and what that means for how we think about how we work. Most organizations are thinking about the future of work in terms of location. Where will we spend most of our time? Will it be in the office? Will it be at home? Will we be co-located? Will we be distributed? Many organizations are advocating for the return to this traditional way of working together. But employees want something different. 75% of knowledge workers say their expectations for working flexibly have increased. Organizations thinking about the future of work in a progressive way are not just evaluating where we'll be spending our time, but how we will be spending it. Think of it this way. We will have two options when it comes to location: co-located or distributed. And we have two modes when it comes to time spent: synchronous or asynchronous. This gives us 4 modes of working. HR leaders usually rank the synchronous modes as being more important to team innovation. That's because we're still operating in a culture of meetings. But our analysis shows that asynchronous work is just as important as synchronous work. Individuals need deep, focused time to restore their mental energy. Organizations need to invest more in those asynchronous modes that contribute equally to innovation. Yet only 17% of HR leaders have implemented no meetings days, 11% have provided dedicated mental health days, and only 1% have implemented no email days. Organizations that succeed in the future of work will invest equally in all 4 of these modes and enable teams to collaborate.
I guess that most of us are experiencing right now. So the hybrid work arrangement. When you notice there, people were saying that, only certain percentage of companies have the no meeting days. Wish ko lang, ano. So in our company, we have started doing the self-love Friday. So today happens to be Friday. I'm now speaking with you, and that's what I mentioned to Ariva, because I asked my HR team, most especially, but you cannot give what you don't have. So they have to learn something on their own, and the learning happens to be in different ways and forms. So I call it Self-Love Friday. Yung love ko dito, may ibig sabihin din. So love is actually L for learning, learn with others, learn through others. O is observe. Observe your surroundings, observe your community. V, visualize what you look at success. And then see ano ba yung success para sa akin? How do I make my week even more productive than what I have? Parang retrospective ito. Visualizing the past week, the past days, and then visualizing what is in front of you. And the E is basically engaging. So that can be in any forms and size, like engaging in your community, engaging in your family. That's why we encourage in the company hybrid work arrangement. And I call it Self-Love Friday. So half of their day, either morning or the afternoon, they will have to commit to it. Especially that, HR people is kind of difficult in the sense of the role, because you speak to thousands of employees. Like for myself, we have like 13,000 employees across the Philippines. Now, the usual HR that you have seen, yung administrative, managerial, very hierarchical, that wouldn't be working anymore. So we call this strategic human resource. Dati, pag sinabi strategic, ay business lang yan. That doesn't exist po. If you didn't take the opportunity during 2020 when pandemic happened, then you're still not late to do so. So for us, fortunately, I took the opportunity of the lockdown to look at how can I better serve our employees, especially that, I don't see them. They're all working from home, and some of them, unfortunately, during that time, my sales employees are not in the mall because it was a lockdown. So ano po ba yung strategic human resource? So this is one of the agenda and framework that I have asked my HR team to do. So ito po yun. So according to Gartner, strategic human resource means it has to be employee driven, business driven, of course, because we have to be profitable at the same time. Data driven, this is something that was missing. Walang ganyan dati sa HR. Ang meron lang tayo niyan is basically payroll, and then personal information of our employees, and that's just about it. And digital enabler, sasabihin natin, Alpha, hindi naman kami IT. I beg to differ. Most of the innovations that we have done in HR was actually done by our HR employees. They leveraged that 2020 of being in a lockdown, being in isolation, to upskill themselves. Di ba sumikat bigla ang YouTube, ang TikTok, all this video snippets of learning, they managed to leverage it on. And then we always bear in mind also that, at the end of the day, there's this high Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We also need to be fulfilled in such a way, mental, physical, social, and financial. So pag tiningnan mo yung strategic human resource, it has to revolve around these 4 categories. And then it is even becoming more relevant to all of us. So I have another research for you that was done by Josh Bursin. So for the HR practitioners there, I'm sure you're very familiar with Dave Ulrich, Josh Bursin, into ano ba yung approach natin in terms of human capital management. So according to the study of Josh Bursin, these are the dimension that matters for human capital management. Why am I discussing all this to you? Because this is literally the foundation of building a culture of innovation. Hindi po siya ganun kadali, because you're literally changing the mindset, most especially starting from your HR team down to the management and transcending it further to the employee. So the darker the box here in this table, the more critical it is to have. So that was very true for Home Credit Philippines, especially during the pandemic, that 100% of our workforce for the last 4-5 months were actually at home. So they were remote. And basically, we cannot do anything about it. We all needed to be there at home because March 16, if you may recall, 2020, that was exactly the time that the government announced that, everybody must stay at home. So we leverage the pandemic to expedite the digitalization of HR. And we basically won icing on the cake, the CV Awards Gold, the highest, because we intentionally did HR transformation and a dedicated person to do it for us, to help me. And then basically he looked at his team, sino ba yung makakatulong? So all of those departments that was out of HR because in prior pandemic, we didn't feel that we have the need for it. I took it back. And those were basically analytics. It was in a department that has very good analytics. So I took it back. And then if you look at this, so yung strength of impact, like what I mentioned, the darker it is, the more relevant, the more impactful it should be. So first level natin dito, strategy and governance. So we focus on the business outcomes for sure. We need to survive. I'm not saying that, people lang. That's the foundation, but you have to think of your business as well. Strategy and culture alignment. Ano ba yung goal ng business niyo? Lalo na when we had that step back during 2020. Technology vision. Not all the companies have the money to spend, even us. So we were also looking at prioritizing what would matter most for the company and what would be sustainable. Leadership and governance, that's something that should not be lacking. That should always be focused at, most especially for us because we're a financial institution. So we're governed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So governance, both at the compliance level as well as the leadership in terms of managing the people during this hybrid work setup was very critical. When you look at the second one, which is the operations and implementation, we look at how do we now simplify. Alam niyo yung nakaka-realize kayo na hindi naman pala natin kailangan ng ganun kadaming sapatos. Hindi naman pala natin ganun kailangan ganun karaming damit. We have realized a lot of things, and then we suddenly look at our personal well-being, our personal things physically, and see how can we declutter and make sure that it's better for us to move because we don't need it. So it all becomes to be the necessity instead of luxury. So similarly, in the business, we also look at it, paano ba natin mapapadali ang buhay ng ating empleyado through our technology. So we are using Microsoft 365. MS Teams happens to be our way of communicating. We'll look at MS Teams. We look at Microsoft and see now what can we use from the suite of the Microsoft 365 that we have that can benefit our employees. And come to think of it, there's a lot of good things or features of that particular system that we used to communicate with because information is critical and communication. That's what I am doing during this pandemic and up until now. Project management and operations, bakit po? Kasi there's just so much things that we needed to do, so many things that we needed to prioritize that we cannot do everything. Not to mention, we don't see our employees. And some of them, unfortunately, is not used of doing this virtual video. I mean, I think a lot of us is not, right? Process design. So I look back and see, ano bang process ni HR ang kailangan ng baguhin? Baka naman pwede. And it was quite effective. What was very difficult was the change management nga. The training and the adoption. Up until now, I'll be transparent with you, we're still trying to make sure that, we'll look at what we have done in 2020, 2021, and to make sure and ask ourselves, relevant pa ba to? Does it still matter? Change management for people of 13,000, that's very difficult. What is beneficial though, and I'm sure you had experienced this, is because we were all in the same boat. Meaning, lahat po tayo may pandemic, nakaka-experience. Unfortunately, for some of us, nagkasakit din po tayo. Regardless of may bakuna ka na or wala, it also happened. So even that, we needed to adapt as dati, di ba, pag umubo ka, sabi nga nila, umubo ka lang, mawawala yung mga tao because they were scared. Now, we have learned to accept it. I mean, it's something that is being normalized na. All we have to do is take care of ourselves and be hygienic, and then we're good. Yung transformation and change, this is the most critical pillar of these dimensions. Bakit po? Kailangan na po kasi natin to. Digitalization doesn't mean it has to be expensive. HR transformation doesn't mean that you need a lot of tools. No. What we did in 2020 and 2021 was just to look at what we already have and what we were not using. The first step of the transformation was to look at ano po ba yung employee life cycle. Hindi na po relevant ang walk-in recruitment. So how do we do it? Wala pong bandwidth yung mga tao na nasa probinsya. How do we interview them and how do we give jobs? It's just a matter of that first, what you can control and what you can do. And as we went along, along and look at what technology the company already has, then we started doing it. First thing that we did, by the way, to build the culture of innovation is to look at data. Wala po kami noong unang panahon ng people data because it was perceived to be as long as we pay the people right, as long as we recruit, as long as we fulfill, then that's it. But that's not the case. We have to know the demographics of the employees. Where are they at? We have to know the composition of our employees, which I am very proud to say that we're actually 50-50, meaning 50 male, 50 female, very diverse in terms of nationalities. We have foreign employees in our company, as well as very diverse in terms of knowledge and industry that they were coming from. So dun po nagsimula, tao. Sa tao po muna. And then the technology comes into play after that to enable all these things to happen. People analytics, like what I mentioned, is the basis of all my decisions as Chief People Officer. And it's easier for me to quote unquote sell the initiative to my exco or to my CEO when I have the data. Because everybody wants to be looking at data to make very good decision. Last but not the least, employee experience. KPI po ito ng buong organization because all of us, including the managers, the executives, are all employees. We are in the company, so we have to make sure that we take care of that experience and we are mindful with that. So, paano po natin sisimulan? So I'm not sure. I'm 30 minutes talking. Kate, would you like to have a 5-minute break or okay lang tayo na magtuloy?
We'll have our breakdown by 10:30 this morning. So we still have around 30 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So I would just like to know po, maybe you can chat it. When you look back doon sa mga nasabi ko for the last 30 minutes in terms of laying the foundation, looking at the data, where do you think you would start? I'm sure you have, some of you have experiences doing this culture of innovation in your respective companies. How did you start po? Maybe you can put in some comments for me to learn as well from you. I mean, we have over 200 plus participants in this morning. So, paano po kayo, or kung hindi man kayo nagsisimula pa, what are you thinking in terms of how can I do this? Baka pwedeng ganito. I mean, there's no stupid idea, ika nga, no? All the ideas are very good. So maybe you can share with me, if you want to build a culture of innovation in your respective companies, regardless of your role. I mean, by the way, that's our tagline in Home Credit. There are no small roles. Everyone is important. Because most of these ideas, by the way, that we came up with, are actually coming from our employees. All I have to do is to do insighting, focus group discussion, and all the smartest and the brightest ideas are coming from our employees. Paano nyo po sana gustong simulan? Environmental scanning in the context of pandemic. Yes, very good, Ms. Mila. Gather data first, listening to everyone. That's exactly how we did it. Data management, kind of difficult, but it can be done. Look at us. Review and assess what we have so we know how to go about. Perfect. It's always good to have retrospective. Communication is really important. Just pitching your daily thoughts for discussion. Yes, please don't be shy because like what I mentioned, everybody is fair and square at this point of pandemic. Check the resources and assess. Primarily a very good idea as well because you need to check the people's skills as well. Kaya ba o hindi? Paano natin sisimulan kung ano yung goals natin? And by the way, all of these things that are happening, yung 2020 kasi, everybody was frozen, literally, di ba? Lahat tayo na shock. And I was just promoted, by the way. So March 16 of 2020, I got promoted in this role of Chief People Officer, then lockdown. Panalo. I think this is the best onboarding that I've ever had. And all I needed to do was to step back and think, tao. I need to take care of my employees, our people, our company, but not forgetting the business goals that we have. Pwede po ba tayong mag-entertain ng question, Kate? I think Imelda is raising her hand.
Yes, Miss Imelda. Miss Imelda, you may,
Can she unmute?
there you go.
Yes po, ma'am.
You have a question, Miss Imelda? Or baka napindot lang yung
Oo.
raise hand.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I'm getting quite a lot of very good insights here in the chat. Employee-centered, that's exactly what it is po. Everything has to be there. And then sabi nga natin, di ba, happy employees, happy customers. It can be the other way around, but it's much better to have that happy employees. It's very difficult, by the way, because you cannot please everybody. That I learned now that I am in HR. Revisit the mission and vision, absolutely. Not forgetting the goals of the company because kailangan pa rin nating kumita. Obviously, we have to make a profit for us to be able to fund and give to our people. Listen to everyone. Yes, don't shut down any ideas. Anchor on corporate culture and core values. Precisely the point po. That's the only thing that has been constant in our company. The culture of fairness, the culture of innovation, results-oriented, and entrepreneurial. That played a lot of role in our company. So we're a 10-year-old company here in the Philippines. However, the company has been built for quite some time already, but we do leverage on that global expertise. Check the difficulties, check the data if you have is still necessary. Exactly. So ganun po kami nagsimula dito sa Home Credit. Maraming salamat po sa mga comments. Please make sure that, just keep on putting it up. Commitment is very important as well because you cannot do this alone. So, ito po yung guiding principle ko. Kung makikita nyo siya, acronym siya. Very simple, APPEAR. Diba? Ang mga Pilipino mahilig sa mga ganyan eh. In the time of difficulty, that's what I learned as well. Filipinos are very resilient. Why? Because we have a very good sense of humor. Sabi nga nila, matataba masyado ang utak ng mga Pinoy. Very creative, very innovative. So I tried and leverage that particular trait of ours. And not to mention yung malasakit. Yun po yung dapat na hindi mawawala regardless of which department you are from, by the way. So, ano po itong absolutely purposeful, impactful, at relevant? Dun sa mga comment niyo po kanina, it was basically what we are driving at. So, when we look at each of the data, when we look at the insighting coming from our employees, by survey po ba kayo? Kasi sa amin po, we do have this ENPS. So checking the pulse of the employees is very important. Kahit simpleng MS forms lang po, or kahit simpleng Survey Monkey, mga libre po yan, for us to just check 2, 3, 5 questions at the most to check ano yung weather, meaning ano po yung nararamdaman ng company, even if they're doing it virtually. Even more critical if they're doing it virtually. Para makita po natin, purposeful pa ba ito na ginagawa natin? May impact ba long-term? Sustainable ba to? And then relevant. So when you were chatting a while ago that you have to check what you have and see ano pa ba yung kailangan nating gawin. And then when you look at it, relevancy, innovation, building a culture of innovation, I'm going back to the anchor of people, culture. Pag sinabi po kasi natin culture, di ba, it's all about the people. It's all about the sum of all the feelings and the principles of the employees around you. Maganda po sa atin, like what I mentioned kanina, yung diversity. Everybody's opinion has to be respected. And I'm hoping that, when that opinion is being brought out, there's also some respect. Kasi sabi nga nila, di ba, we don't know what each of us are battling with. So if you can be anyone, you have to be very kind na lang because you don't know what that person is going through. So yun po yung unang-una, it has to be purposeful. In a financial company like ours, wherein we provide services to over almost 3 million customers na po in the Philippines for home credit, we look at both because our employees happens to be our customers also. So we are encouraging, we are ambassadoring our products to our customers and our employees. So purposeful pa ba yung program natin? Pag sinabi kasing innovation, okay, ako na lang magtatanong. Pag sinabi po bang innovation, ano po yung first thing that comes to your mind? Innovation. Kasi culture, we described it na. It's collective principles, it's collective ideas of the people or the employees around you. How about innovation po? Ano po ba yung innovation? Pwede po ba nating i-chat? Create new things, okay? Improvement, new ideas, thinking outside the box. Maganda nga po, Miss Annalisa, kung wala ng box eh. Para hindi po kayo maganon. I always say that eh. You think out of the box, but it's much better if there's no box at all. Because, again, we are in the same field. Automate, yes, to make everybody's life easier, but it's something that needs to be planned well. Kasi sayang naman po, analysis paralysis tayo pag we do something that we will not be using anyway. Maximizing the resources that doubles output and outcome. I love that, Mrs. On. And radical change. Wow, I would love to hear from our participant on the radical change. I also said po pala, when you do the radical change, very interesting, you must also think of radical candor. Ano po ba yung candor? That's one of the trait, I guess, that not all, hindi po lang Filipinos, Asian community. Candor is being, upfront with tact naman. Hindi naman yung taklesa. For us, when we say things as it is, we find it kind of offensive, especially if the manner is not malambing. But basically, if you want to have radical change, then you must also exercise radical candor, because primarily it's not easy po to make that happen. Caring personally while challenging directly, absolutely. That's what candor is all about. New and creative things anchored with the company's core value. Yet again, yes, totally agree. Ano po ba yung mga values na yan? I'm sure we all have that: respect, integrity, and what have you. Pag sinabi po nating impactful, question ko po sa inyo, sa mga organizations po ninyo, when you look at innovation, and it must be in fact impactful, pag tinanong po tayo, ano po ba yung impactful sa organization natin? When you're in HR, what needs to be done? Ano po bang definition natin ng impactful sa inyong respective organization? Maybe you can chat away as well. Impactful. Ano po ba impactful? Sa amin po, pag sinabi naming impactful in our company, it's basically something that would at least have majority of the employees. Because like when I mentioned, you cannot please everybody. 13,000 employees. So at least ang target ko po, ang KPI ko is when we do some initiative, it has to have some, yes, Ms. Annalisa, an influence with the expected result, absolutely. Then basically it's something that would also be understood. Kasi, okay, I'll give you one example. Lahat po tayo may vacation leave at sick leave. Sa company po namin, what we did in 2021, we implemented in 2022 basically, is we added both. Yung sick leave at yung vacation leave mo, we now call it wellness leave. Kasi aminin po natin, nagsisick leave po yung mga tao natin kahit walang sakit. Because they're thinking, akin naman yun eh. I'm privileged to get that eh. So when we started doing the study, how many leaves are actually left behind after the end of the year? Ilan po? 5, di ba? Bakit? Kasi convertible to cash. Kung may 20 or may 15 days, 10 days VL, 5 days sick leave, parating natitira yung 5 VL. Ginagamit yung 5 SL. Kasi convertible to cash. Tama po ba ako? Pwede po ba tayong mag-emoticon dyan? Para malaman ko kung tama po na ganyan po yung pinagdadaanan nating mga HR. Thank you. Thumbs up. Yes, di ba? So what we decided on, when we look at it, lahat naman ginagamit eh. So we converted it and rebranded it. Instead of sa BPO, ang tawag namin nung unang panahon, and I think up until now, PTO, paid time off. Di ba? Sinungaling leave. Correct. Di ba? Bakit natin niloloko ang sarili natin kung alam naman natin, magbabayad pa ng 50 pesos or magkano na ba ngayon ang MedCert para sabihin na, ay, may sakit ako eh. How can you even say that, right? So what we did was to put 2 and 1 and 1 together and we call it wellness leave. Wellness leave. Kahit saan mo gamitin yan. You take care of your family, you take care of yourself, through your travel, through your vacation. 15 days, di na masama. 100 pesos na ba? Wow, ang mahal na pala, no? So, bakit pa, di ba? So, yun ang ginagawa namin ngayon. So, when we did that, and when I obviously have to ask the exco to approve it, lahat sila masaya. It's purposeful, it's impactful, it's relevant, but very simple. Why? Because it already exists. Andyan na yan eh. When us in HR, right, when you look at the cost or the investment rather of one employee, that's already factored in, the leaves. So because one way or the other, they will use it. I mean, we don't want them to use it na may sakit sila. Obviously, I don't want that as well. Pero bakit pa natin iintayin, di ba? So let's do something about it and be proactively encouraging people to take their wellness leave so that they don't get sick. And that's one of the initiatives that we did. We did another extra for our employees. And it's, again, this is going back to the surveys po, the ENPS, the employee survey, those things that we are doing to get insights from our employees. Birthday leave. So ang home credit po, ang aming head office is in Prague. Our CEO is from Czech. Prague has a very good healthcare. Prague has a very good education system. So and birthday, sometimes for some of the countries, unlike Asia, birthday is very important. Tama po ba? So what we did was to put plus one more. So my birthday leave kami. And that's me encouraging the people that you need to spend that day with your family. So that's the wellness leave plus the one day, I call it personal holiday. Kasi yung iba ayaw nilang tawagin ng birthday leave. I don't know why. So we call it the personal holiday. You spend it the way you want it because it's your personal holiday. Again, doesn't cost that much, but it's purposeful because I'm all about the wellness of the employees. Dapat naman po talaga lahat ganon, di ba? So, sana all. Oo nga po. So, it will happen po. It's just a matter of, sabi nga, di ba, if it's that important, pag gusto po, may paraan. Pag ayaw, maraming dahilan. So, it took me, by the way, it's not that easy to have that initiative agreed on or approved on because what's the fear? Ng karamihan ng mga managers, maa-abuse. Ina-abuse na nga, di ba? So, it's the reality. So, bakit pa natin yun problemahin? At least ngayon, hopefully, wala naman dadaya kasi nagpa-file na sila ng wellness leave nila. And by the way, we're monitoring that. So, every quarter, I make a report. So, my data analytics team, HR analytics team, churn out that report every quarter to look at who are spending the leaves and who are not. So dapat mayroon sa isang quarter, if you parang 1.25 days, diba, per month. So technically dapat meron ka ng 4 days. So dapat nakapagbakasyon ka na kasi idikit mo lang yan sa holiday, meron ka ng 5 days or 6 days with your family or with your loved ones eh. So we monitor that. Sino yung managers na hindi nag-a-approve? Sino yung mga empleyado? Anong department? Yung hindi man lang nagwa-wellness leave. So we have that. And then we basically acknowledge through, hindi namin pinapagalitan yung hindi nag-leave, nire-recognize namin yung nag-leave. Because basically that tells me that they are enjoying it because it's their benefit. Back again, not necessarily benefit, by the way. So it's some perk, we call it employee perks, right? Wellness leave, na-enjoy nila yon. So that's one thing. And then the birthday leave is another. So those simple things, when you look at all the things that an HR person or an HR department must do, you look back, ano ba yung walang cost? Or kung may cost man, very minimal. Ano yung purpose mo? May impact ba? Yes. A lot of our employees are very happy with it. They're posting it. I'm not even saying it. So they're posting it in their Facebook when we launched that particular idea. And then is it relevant? Yes. Because as you know, lahat ng surveys po magsasabi sa atin na right now, marami po, unfortunately, yung may mental health issues. And it's the reality. It has to be acknowledged. Hindi po siya dapat na itago. I would encourage you to have that safe space for your respective employees because hindi po siya madali. It's a lot of things that are happening in the world right now at hindi siya madali. So we had even increased the coverage that we have for mental health. And we're encouraging people. So I was very happy that, when we said we want to promote this again because we understood that some people might be going through something. And some of these employees who had availed of it, technically that's confidential. They came forward and sabi na, Alpha, pwede ba kaming tumulong sa'yo? We would do testimonials. Sabi ko, would you like us to leave your name anonymous? Then said, no, okay lang kami. You put our names there. If they want to talk to us so that we can share with them the experience. Panalo, di ba? So, yung mga ganong bagay. So what else did we do for our employees? They have requested in terms of the HMO dependents. So hindi po lahat ng empleyado, even in our company, covered yung dependents. What we did though, so ang request nila, pwede kaming magbayad. Magbabayad kami, pero sana discounted. Yung kapareho ng cost ni home credit in doing dependents. So we negotiated with our provider, and then we asked them, can we extend this? The discount to our employees, and they will pay you directly instead of us, sa reduction, hindi na, sila na yon. Tapos sabi niya, yeah, pwede naman Alpha. The next negotiate, so we put it even further because we need to be relevant, right? Paano na yung mga empleyado na single, wala nang magulang or overage na yung magulang, and then walang anak, walang pamilya, pero meron silang gustong i-enroll doon sa HMO. Pwede ba? So we managed to do that. So we launched last year yung aming same-sex partner dependents because we acknowledge that some of our employees belongs to the LGBTQ plus segment. That's fine. Wala kaming ano doon. Gusto namin yan. I'm a proponent and advocate of that. And then you have the domestic partners. They have been living together, but for some reasons they believe that living together is enough, and that's fine again. And then you have those people like myself. I have a lot of pamangkins. I have my siblings are overage for a dependent. Baka naman pwede akong bumili at that discounted rate. So we did. Again, going back, it has a purpose, it's impactful, and it's relevant. So yun po yung mga bagay na ni-review namin while we're doing, and it's innovation. So pag naiisip po kasi natin, that's why I asked you kanina, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng innovation? And I'm so happy that, it's a combination of you thinking of technology, and most of you are thinking of just the changing of what you already have or improvement of what you already have. So yun po kasi yung culture of innovation. Hindi po ako taga-IT. HR po ako. So when they invited me to speak about this, I said, I would put it forward in the context of people, not in the context of technology. Maybe there's another innovation talk for sure, but more on the technology. But for me, it's the people. We start with that. Technology will follow. They are just the enablers, by the way. Meron po ba dyan, baka tulungan nyo naman ako kasi you have 200 plus, right? Are there any innovation, no matter how small it may be, in your respective organization that you did and that you are proud of? Kasi those things that I mentioned to you, wellness leave, birthday leave, the HMO dependents for the different segments of the community, ginawa namin. Meron po ba kayong ginawang innovation recently or in the last 2 years during the pandemic, most especially, that you are most proud of? Paki-chat naman po para may matutunan din ako sa inyo, because these are both, our learning opportunities this Friday morning. Anything po? Yung ating mabibilis ang internet dyan, na proud kayo. 255 participants that I can see here. Can you chat po? Innovation that you have done, ideas, process. We were given Mercury drug credits so we can purchase. Wow, okay, that's nice. So you partner with Mercury drug to give you discounts then or credits. That's good, no? Because it's your own, it's your own, you give the power to the employees to decide anong gusto nilang bilhin sa Mercury drug. Can be medicine, virtual people development program. Yes, totally agree. If you haven't done it yet, then you should be doing it. It's very important for for our employees, no? Both personal and professional. Yun po pala yung advice ko because we are also doing that. Professional and personal po yung attack namin. We recently conducted a Gallup certification process wherein this particular Gallup assessment, if you have not done it, it also tells you something, not just you as a person, but also you as a professional. It's a very comprehensive assessment, by the way. And I got myself certified so that I can do one-on-one coaching with my employees also. We provided shuttle. Meron pa po bang shuttle ngayon? Mataas ng gasolina. Sana, no? Tuloy-tuloy yan, no? Mahirap ang transportation ngayon for our employees. Wellness session, normalized mental health, absolutely. The more we talk about it, the more it becomes normal. So people are not afraid to step forward and we can easily help them. Wellness kit to employees promoting e-learning programs. Every first Friday, we bring healthy, cheap foods or snacks to share with others. Wow. Parang potluck, ano? Kami naman, Self-Love Friday. I do sharing like this. They do their respective sharing. And then we came together on a Monday. And that's part of the meeting also. Or Wednesday meeting namin. To share what they have done. So yung mga ideas po natin na yan, like what I mentioned, wag po nating itago. Kasi you'll never know that, that very simple thing can make a huge difference for your respective employees. Not just for them, by the way, but also for yourself. During the pandemic, those who got the virus or identified close contacts, the family members suspected probable case, can isolate or quarantine for 14 days without charging against their leave. Wow. Very generous, very good company. They were provided isolation facility and provision of food. Until now, we still have shuttle services for our staff. That's fantastic. Medical allowance. Kami po ang ginawa namin was we delivered the medicine because we found out, which is good for 14 days, we found out na obviously, hindi sila makakalabas. At karamihan, ayos lang puntahan. So somebody who's very good at it, who knows what to do, we managed to provide the medicines for them. Created company mobile app, health track function for yes, kami naman po, vaccination monitoring. Fortunately for our company, we're almost like 94% fully vaccinated. Booster naman ngayon yung ini-encourage namin. Flexi work schedule, that helps a lot also. Provided that, at the end of the day, you get the results that you need. Output base is very encouraging po for companies like yourselves. So I'm very happy to know that. So maybe I'll go to the next segment after our break, Kate.
Yes, it's okay.
Very engaging. Thank you so much for the morning. Thank you so much for helping me out. Because like what I mentioned, I really love learning from the session. That's why I love having the session also because I learned a lot from the participant.
As well. Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Alpha. We'll see you in a few minutes. Hello, everyone. So we're going on our morning break. We'll have 10 minutes for our break time this morning. And we're doing something exciting right now because Ariva Academy is in the mood to give away prizes to everyone. So we will be playing a game. Ayan. I hope everyone is ready. If you can turn on your cameras, please do so because I need you to turn on your camera for this game. May prize talaga kami pamimigay. What are we giving away? We will have 2 lucky winners and they will receive the 200 pesos that will be sent directly to their GCash account. Ayan. Kasali lang kayo sa game. Meron nakikinig rin kayo sa learnings na nakukuha natin ngayon and you get to bring home prizes if ever you're the winner. Ayan. And the game is called Virtual Bring Me Game. I am sure once in your life, before the pandemic, nakapaglaro na kayo ng Bring Me or naisama ninyo ang inyong mga pamangkin or anak sa isang kiddie party na may Bring Me game. So you're familiar with this, but we are doing it with a twist because we're all here online. So this is what will happen. I will be asking for an item. Ayan. So i-ready na ninyo ibukas ang inyong mga bags, i-ready ang mga gamit. Kung nasa bahay, i-ready rin ninyo ang mga gamit sa paligid ninyo. Because merong item na nasa bahay, merong item na pang-office. Okay. Ayan. So, hihingin ko yung isang item. For example, I'd say, bring me a ball pen. The first one na makapagpakita ng pen in front of the camera, kailangan pakita ninyo agad in front of the camera, kayo ang magiging winner. Okay? So, kailangan mabilis, kumilos, kailangan ipakita agad in front of the camera. So again, I am inviting everyone, turn on your cameras. Turn it on. Kailangan makita ko kayo. Ayan, ayan, ayan. Okay, is everyone ready? Ayan. Again, this is 200 pesos. Kung kayo ang unang makapagpakita ng item in front of the camera. Okay. So meron akong pang team bahay, may pang team office na items. First item. This will give you 200 pesos. If first kayo makapagbigay, bring me your company handbook. Company handbook. Bring it to me, show it to me. And we have our first winner. We have Erlinda Suyosa. Miss Erlinda, congratulations. Miss Erlinda, you will receive 200 pesos from Ariva Academy. Ayan na. It's okay, Miss Erlinda. Pwede mo nang ibaba. Show me na your beautiful face. Miss Erlinda, this is what you have to do. Please send your GCash account number to us here in the chat box. Send it to us privately. Look for Ariva Academy Philippines in the chat box. Send your GCash account number and expect your prize in a little while. Now, Miss Erlinda, because you've won already, let's give chance to others naman, okay? You won't be able to join the game anymore kasi meron ka ng prize para yung iba naman. Okay, okay. Now, are you guys ready ulit for the next item or items? Parang items yata yung next na hihingin ko. I hope you guys are ready. Eto na. Lalo na sa mga, makilalaman natin kung sino ang nagpa-prepare ng kanilang lunch sa mga nasa bahay. Bring me tomato, onion, and garlic. Kailangan kumpleto yung tatlo. Kamatis, sibuyas, bawang. Meron na ba? Parang wala pa yung iba. Wala pa ba? Wala ba nasa bahay ngayon? Meron na, meron na? Let me know. Oh, we have Joseph Kaputol. Congratulations, Joseph. Nasa office siya. Pero meron siyang kompleto yung kanyang panggisa. Do you cook sa office, Joseph? But congratulations, Joseph. You will also receive 200 pesos from Ariva Academy. Ayan. Joseph, send your GCash account number to us privately here in the chat box. Look for Ariva Academy Philippines para mas-send namin sa'yo yung iyong prize. Congratulations to Joseph and to Erlinda. Thank you also to everyone for joining, for being very game. Marami bang nataranta? Makinina nakikita ko kayo sa camera, tapos biglang nawawala ng tao. Ang bibilis kumilos talaga, pero meron lang talaga mga mas mabibilis. So congratulations again. Expect your prize in a little while. Now I'll move on to my other announcements. Stay on top of our insights and updates. Stay connected with Ariva Academy. You can join Ariva Academy's Facebook group. You can also like Ariva Academy's Facebook page, follow Ariva Academy in LinkedIn, and also check out our website, www.ariva.com.ph. And for those of you who might have missed the free live webinars that we had, especially for the past 2 years, you can all catch them in YouTube. That's good news, right? Catch all of them in YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, Ariva Academy and Ariva Talks. I also would like to invite you to some of our upcoming online learning sessions. Here they are. We have on June 29, the Guerrilla Selling Strategies in New Normal. Again, this will be next week already, June 29. June 30, we have our job structure and compensation program design. How to design and develop a competitive salary structure. A free live webinar will happen once again, this time on July 6th. Really interesting topic, 7 steps to build an engaging culture for hybrid and virtual teams. I repeat, this is again another free live webinar. So register as early as now for this one. Take note of the date already, July 6th. And July 12th, another free live webinar. Thank you so much to Ariva Academy for being very generous with with their free live webinars. This time, the topic is how to overcome unconscious bias in the workplace. This will be on July 12th already. On July 14, we have another program, the Resilience and Remote Stability, Proven Ways to Boost Your Resilience at Work. Coaching for High Performance, How to Build a Coaching Culture to Drive High Performance Teams, will be on July 14. On July 15, we have our 7th mini MBA on Labor Relations Management, Advanced Employee Relations and Engagement. Corporate Governance and Housekeeping, the evolving role of corporate secretaries, board directors, trustees, and corporate officers. This is the topic on July 20. Essentials of Finance for Non-Finance Practitioners, Financial Analysis for Non-Finance Professionals on July 21. July 22, Mini MBA for Strategic HR Professionals, Essentials of Human Resource Management in a Hybrid Work Environment. And I'm inviting everyone to join us. This will be on July 28 already. People and Labor Relations Forum 2022. We have this theme for this forum, Proactive Labor and Employee Relations in a Hybrid Work Environment. And for those of you who are looking for a speaker to conduct a training exclusive for their team or for their company, Ariva Academy can also help you with that. We can conduct in-house virtual trainings or even face-to-face trainings. The number is flashed on your screen right now, so you can call that number or send an email to that email address, irish.arivaacademy@gmail.com. Let us know what topic you have in mind. Here are some of the programs that we offer, but we have a lot more than that. Just let us know what topic you have in mind. We'll help you partner with the right speaker under Ariva Academy Speakers Bureau. So just give us a call. And there you have it. I know we still have a lot to discuss this morning. So let us again welcome our speaker, Miss Alpha. Miss Alpha, we're ready to listen to you again. Or, okay, I think we'll give you a few more minutes to enjoy this break time and then we'll be back in a little while. Thank you.
Ariva Academy would like to thank
Every coffee needs a lotus.
There. Good morning again. Again, congratulations to our winners. We'll be waiting for your GCash account numbers. Thank you. Hi, Miss Alpha.
Hi, Kate. Hindi ko akalain merong panggisa doon sa ano.
Sa office.
Na-impressed ako. I'm impressed. Kasama ko yan sa aking purposeful, impactful, at relevant na ano. na initiative.
We can now go back to our session.
Okay, perfect. So, sabi nga ni Jody sa Broken Vow, padating pa lang tayo sa most exciting part. Hindi, patapos na kasi. So, basically, we spent quite a good amount of time in terms of demystifying what this purposeful, impactful, and relevant means. So I would like basically to go to this one. So what do you need to do to make sure that you pull this through all the way down to, starting it off? We always say the first step is always the most difficult one, and primarily because of this word. So anong word po ito? 6 letters. When you look at these pictures, ano po itong 6-letter word na ito? What does this mean? That, sabi nga, lahat dumadaan dito. Ano po bang nasa chat natin, Miss Kate? Nahulaan ba nila?
The answer that I'm reading here is change. Lahat sila yun ang nakatype.
Galing, Kailangan lang pala may pag-games. Ang bilis. Okay, yes. Absolutely. Change is inevitable. Ito po yung pinakamahirap. Even if we already know that it's necessary, and yet people out of fear doesn't want to move out of their comfort zone, ika nga. But in this pandemic, in these times nowadays, ito na to. It will not be different from what we had. We will just have to be, sabi nga, normalize. When we keep on talking about it, then we're literally normalizing it. So, tanong ko lang po, what's the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word change? Ano po ang nasa isip ninyo? Pag sinabing change, what does it mean po para sa inyo? First word that comes to mind, kahit ano po, ano pong unang word na pumasok sa isip ninyo when intervention, new, adjustments, good, improvement, resistance, adapt, improvement. I love the improvement. Innovate, better, resiliency. Transformation, big word. Yes, it's a big word. Kasi lahat po yan dumadaan tayo dyan, ano? So, share ko lang po sa inyo. Marami pong salamat for being very participative and for staying with us up until now. We still have the 250 people that we have here. Inevitable, yes. Totally agree. Big word na, inevitable. Hindi po yan, hindi po mangyayari ang progress kung wala pong pagbabago. Sabi nga, di ba? So, share ko lang po sa inyo. So, for 2022, basically, the survey conducted by Gartner with over 3,000 HR people across the globe, professionals here are saying that HR would need to focus on the so many initiatives. Out of the 10, ito pong 5 na to yung pinaka-importante. And that's primarily like what you were talking about a while ago. And I'm so happy that, you managed to think of those things, like building critical skills, the leadership development that you have, the virtual learning development that you have is fantastic. The organizational design and change management, which is the second most critical one. And then the third one is the culture, the current and future leadership bench. Parati pong yon yung problema na sinasabi, di ba? People are leaving. Dati, when we look at attrition, and I think for most of us this is true, when we look at attrition, it's just a cycle. Somebody loses, somebody gains. However, right now, when somebody loses, and I have it in my company as well, I have certain employees that when they left, they don't want to move to a different company. They became entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs. Because like what I mentioned, in the last 2.5 years, almost 3, biglang nakapag-isip tayong lahat. we had this discernment, we had this moment with ourselves alone in our minds, thinking that what do I need to do next? And that happened. Future of work, ano na nga ba? Hybrid, is it here to stay? I believe so. I mean, having your employees, marami na pong company na nag-attempt to go back to what it used to be, asking all the employees 100% to go back to the office, and you see where they go. What happened to them? The great resignation or the great basically attrition happened. And we don't want that, obviously, especially in HR. And the fifth one, which was never talked about before, is now being a topic. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Very high proponent po kami ang Home Credit Philippines in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by the way, just to give some information, pag sinabi po nating diversity, we just don't talk about gender. We also talk about the different levels of the person's life. Nasa ang stage na po siya. Solo parent, women, men, lahat po yan kasama. Different nationalities, different industry, career shifter. Yun po yung pinag-uusapan natin, hindi lang po gender. And fortunate for us, a lot of education and information awareness has been happening. And we are very much, Filipinos are getting to be more and more open about it, to talk about it, and to learn more about it, which is very good. Your number 6, employee experience, recruitment. Obviously, this is what, tanong ko na lang, kasi may mga HR pala tayo dito, no? I-chat nyo nga po, ang sagot sa tanong ko, what keeps you awake at night? Doon po tayo sa work, sa work po tayo sa personal life. Baka may mga hugot-hugot kayo dyan, baka malungkot ako masyado. So, what keeps you awake at night po? In your respective role, right now, thinking about it, what keeps you awake? Then I'll share with you what's mine. Ano po ang hindi nagpapatulog sa inyo? Ngayong mga deadlines. Taga-finance po ba tayo? Sa deadlines Deadlines, wow. Mga finance ba sila, Sir Emmanuel? Pending works, memos, marami pa rin memos, no? Result of my project. So most awaited, memos. Ako po, what keeps me awake at night is my recruitment and attrition. Kasi po mahirap mag-recruit ngayon ng talent because everybody wants to have that particular talent. And typically for companies like us, we need those skills that doesn't exist yet. However, for most of the Filipinos, they don't have the courage to acknowledge that I need to learn more. So it's okay, turuan nyo ko. HMO renewal, kami tapos na po, nakapag-renew na kami. Multiple tasks, yes, pending manpower requirements. So it has to be done efficiently and effectively because at the end of the day, recruitment has a lot of cost, but you need to go within your bounds of budget, right? So yun po yung madaling mag-recruit, kaya lang may budget po yan, di ba? So ano po yung impediments? So thank you again for sharing. So ito po yung key initiatives na sinasabi. And ito yung mga challenges na sinasabi naman. Basically, pag sinabi nating building critical skills, again, these are the skills. If you read Gartner, Josh Bersin, they will tell you that the critical skills that we need right now, either they don't exist yet or it does exist, but the people whom we need suddenly decided not to work anymore. Ayaw na po nilang magtrabaho. So we have to build it organically within the organization. If not, we will be obsolete. And that's the fear and that's the fact of life that will happen if we don't act immediately and let these people realize that they have the potential. Organizational design, change fatigue. For us, we experience that. Why? Because we are a very agile company. So sabi nga namin, we're neither a startup nor a fintech. We're a consumer finance company, but we act very fast. However, for some of the employees, hindi po kakayanin or hindi kinaya. Kaya nga yung mental health, mental wellness, it's something that we know we are very advocating on para lang po malaman nila na, we're here to help them, support them. Leadership development. Sabi po nila, diba, Peter Principles, not good salespeople, not all good salespeople can be promoted as the head of sales. because iba po ang competency of leading a team, of being a people manager versus an individual contributor wherein you only take care of yourself, your targets, your KPIs, and then suddenly you have to take care of 10 people or even 12 or even more than that in some instances. And it's not easy. Hindi rin po siya madaling ituro because it's not innate for people to lead. It has to be taught because different scenarios, different things would need to be addressed differently. And for most of our newbies, most especially, I'm sure you are feeling this also, like myself, 2.5 years, yung mga graduate po ng 2.5 years ago, then they started working virtually. Social skills, critical thinking, ang hirap po niyang i-develop. Not their fault, nobody's fault, but it is what it is. So when we started doing the hybrid work with the company, and again, I'm telling you, it's only like one, twice, depending on the need of your specific role, we find that some of these employees are quote unquote overwhelmed. When we look at the profile, then back again with my data, that's how important the data is. We look at their tenure, we look at their profile, their background. Apparently, yes, they were graduates of 2.5 years ago. And the first company that they were in, they were doing online work. Then they joined a company like us. Then suddenly you see people, you're collaborating, you have meetings here and there. Then they feel overwhelmed. And it's unfortunately, it's these people that we did virtual onboarding on. So ano po ang ginagawa namin ngayon? We're doing reboarding. When we talk about reboarding, lahat po ng in-onboard namin virtually dati, we're asking them, encouraging them to come meet us. And it's kind of funny, it's very sentimental at the same time, very sad that the first time this managers and this team happens to meet. Now we're doing town halls even face to face. I'm having this town hall with one of the department later on, and it's basically helping the newbies realize that ito pala yung company na sinasabi sa akin virtually, and that makes the stickiness even better. Future of work. Workforce planning is so critical. Kanina yung sinasabi natin dun sa comment. The requirements are immense. The recruitment opportunities a lot, but the talents are dwindling. Kumukonti po ng kumukonti at hindi lang po ito problema ng Pilipinas. It's around the world that talent skills and talent gap, even the person themselves, is also lacking. Kasi nga, nawala silang bigla sa workforce because they suddenly realized that simple life will do. Some of them are actually in the farm. Some of them basically doesn't feel the need to work. One person will do kasi hindi naman namin kailangan ng marami. So naging ganun yung mindset. So workforce planning for a company like ours, most especially that we needed skills that doesn't exist yet, then that's very difficult. When I mentioned about the DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion, the first thing that we all need to do is to keep and make and keep our managers on board. Hindi po kakayanan ni HR at hindi po ito isang programa. It has to be a DNA. It has to be embedded in the organization that, matter of fact, it's just respect. That's all it is. They just branded it to make sure that it's enunciated, it's verbalized, that it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. But if you look at it, the whole spectrum, it's just all about the respect to the person and basically us looking the person as human, right? So sa amin, when I was asked, why is home credit a huge proponent of diversity? Because we only look at the potential of the person, the talent of the person. We don't care what gender, where you came from. And hindi, it's basically that muna. And you have a talent to offer to us, a value to offer to us, and you're committed, so why not? So in a nutshell, basically, ano ba yung key takeaways natin? So if I want you to remember what, i-recap ko lang po ng very slight. And then I'll be happy to answer some of the questions. I'm seeing it in the chat. Ano po ba yung key takeaways natin? Hindi na po natin mahihinto, or we cannot stop HR to be strategic. We have to be. And when we talk about strategic, it's always the balance of the employee, business, and data being driven together. And the digital has to be there as an enabler. Hindi po siya baliktad. Kung ano lang yung meron, yun lang yung gagawin ko. No, because you will be stuck. Ano yung kailangan mong gawin? What do you need to do? And it anchors back to the first slide that I was saying. It's all about the people. The future of work is hybrid. Well, that is it for us in Home Credit. We saw the relevance of that. We saw the impact on that in terms of having the balance of like what I showed kanina dun sa video ni Gartner. There are some moments that you just needed to be alone. You need that isolation because you have learned to be that productive when you were alone, and you need that. However, what we are now encouraging is you also need to collaborate. You also need social skills. You also need to see other people, not just yourself. And there has to be a balance of both. Guiding principles, yung sinasabi kong appear. When you look at all the HR initiatives that you have, looking back, sabi nga ni there's the Gartner has like 10, and we focus on the 5. It has to be very purposeful, impactful, and relevant. So I'm leaving you, and I'm hoping that I did share the sound when I did the thing. I'm leaving you with this very cute video. And this goes especially to my co-HR out there who's listening and learning with me. This is the
Imagine there's no HR. It's hard to even try. No plan, no purpose, or culture to live by. Imagine all the people living uninspired. Ooh, what we need are the dreamers who create and innovate new directions and advances to connect and celebrate.
Trying to imagine a world without HR.
The first thing I think of is chaos.
Just trying to manage the administrative side of it alone with benefits and hires and promotions and raises, things like that, it would be impossible.
We need HR to help us recruit, retain, and develop our professionals.
To provide me with some strategic vision, new trends that are going on, and how best we can make our company the best place to work.
To be collaborative and innovative.
To build a culture where the best people can do their best work.
Having the best HR professionals is critical.
I have trusted partners who are aligned with our organization's mission and vision of great service to the community.
They help us manage our greatest asset, which is our people.
For me, that's the glue that brings it all together is the HR department.
A world without HR, I can't imagine it.
Now we go to the exciting part na, Kate. This is what I love about the question and answer portion. Can you hear me po? I think si Kate yun na wala. Kasi mabilis ako magsalita eh. So if you want to look up and hook up with me, this is our LinkedIn page. You can see me in LinkedIn, and then go visit our Home Credit page as well. We have a new song, by the way, that was sung by Moira de la Torre. And we posted it in all our things. Appear then, Julius. Absolutely. Yeah, sending love to all the HR people out there. So maybe if you have questions, then we can start answering those.
Yes, we have questions here that was sent to us. Is it okay if I read them?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have this one. How do you balance the tension between strong culture and diversity, inclusion, belonging practice during this pandemic, knowing everything is mostly done through virtual meetings?
It can be done. Sabi, ano ko nga ano ba to? Sabi ko, pag pag gusto, may paraan. So I think it's just really more of, we started off with awareness. So information muna, and it's webinar, right? So we leverage on these virtual platforms to invite speakers and learn like what you're doing right now in Ariva. Dun muna, make them understand ano ba tong diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then, ano ba yung importance niya sa empleyado? Most especially that, I mentioned that I have 13,000 employees, 7,000 of whom are sales. And quite a number of them, 3,000 over, are in the call centers. And I want them to know that, it's not only in the BPO that diversity is being encouraged, also in companies like ours, a financial industry company regulated by BSP, that can also happen. And that can be a balance. So information muna kami, information awareness muna kami, and then psychological safety, which is one of your topics also in some of your trainings, is very important because people needs to come forward. And if the HR people are that open, then it will be easier for them. Then it transcends na. Kasi kailangan talaga nilang may outlet. So that's the second one. Then the third one, obviously, is also their self-understanding. We do have some trainings, self-paced, meaning we provided those in our learning platforms, and it's up to them to go and check it out. So because we know that, for some of our employees, it's easier for us to give them the power to learn and then remind them every now and then so that they will not miss that opportunity. So yun po, matter of really communication and information awareness po.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question here. What are your company guidelines in availing your wellness leave?
It has, one, you have to be a regular employee, including that of yung ating birthday leaves or both. So regular employee ka muna. We initially, since we did it in 2021, wherein the vaccination was very low in terms of the take-up, di ba? Bumili na nga kami. Kasi sabi, mahirap daw si LGU, ganun nga, so bumili kami, we provided it for. Ganun pa rin, matitigas pa rin ng ulo. Then we came up with this wellness leave, and then we told them, unless you're vaccinated, because vaccination, and then, or you have a medical reason or some religious reason that you want to tell us why you are not being vaccinated, then go and let us know. Because, we don't force anybody naman, but we're encouraging it. But since this wellness leave is an advocacy of you being well, and for us, either whatever vaccine it may be, it's just me thinking that, you are taking care of yourself, then that's the other one. But now, then, since most of us are already vaccinated, then that really doesn't matter anymore. Then in terms of the availment, the manager would still have to approve. So para lang siyang pareho lang dati. Vacation leave SL, binago ko lang talaga yung usage niya. You can use it in whatever purpose that you want to, so long as you inform the manager, and we do have a platform to apply for vacation leave. The manager approves, pareho lang. So the rationale is the same. It's just that you have a quote-unquote additional 5 days if you have a sick leave of 5 days in your full vacation leave. Yun lang yung naiba. Otherwise, the rest of your and then 5 days pa rin yung ating convertible to cash at the end of the term. But yun nga, yun pala yung isa kong birthday leave must be used within the week. Nakakatawa naman, di ba? Birthday mo, January 1, tapos nag-celebrate ka ng February 1. Bakit? Di ba? Gusto ko nga, wala ka sa office, mag-celebrate ka sa pamilya mo eh. But if you do have some recurring business concerns or whatever, then fine. But I don't think that would take a month for you to take it. And then yun nga, we monitor the usage of this wellness leave because it's going back to the purpose of why we did it ba? We want you to take a break. Sabi nga, di ba, you don't quit, you just take a rest. Because we don't want people to be quitting on us just because they're stressed. May leave ka naman, ate, kuya, di gamitin mo na, di ba? Sa'yo yan eh. So that's how we encourage them.
Oh, that is really nice. Thank you so much for that. We have a question here in the chat box. By the way, for those of you who'd like to ask a question directly to Miss Alpha, click the raise hand button will allow you to ask her yung question ninyo. May itatanong nyo agad sa kanya. Okay, but here's a question in the chat box from Adele. What is the best activity to develop assertive leadership?
Pagbentahin nyo po ng produkto nyo, hindi ko lang. And it's, how do you say it? Assertive leadership, ano po ba yung assertive leadership in terms of the context? So in my understanding, when you talk about assertive leadership, it's basically getting your message across. right? With respect. Yun yung paulit-ulit ko sinasabi. Kasi doon parati nadidingdong yung leader yung angas agad yung nasa unahan kasi tama to, gusto ko to. It doesn't work that way anymore. If there's a context or the data that you already have, why you are being assertive in that particular initiative, then for sure, assertive leadership is all about you putting across the idea, right, with your team. And if you have the data that proves why you are doing it, back again, isipin po natin, ano po ba yung purpose? May explain ko ba siya ng one sentence? Or very simple? That, I guess, would make the person, the leader, more confident because may bala ko it's not going to be perfect for sure. I also was not in terms of thinking these initiatives. Meron pa rin ako, ba't hindi ko ba naisip yun? But confident ako. I have all the data, tatanungan ka bigla ng say, paano to? Ay, oo nga. So balik ako. But I don't give up. I look at it, sige, tingnan natin saan ba tayo nagkulang, talk with the team and all, then go back again to the drawing board. So confidence, I guess, is very important. Data, in terms of what initiative you are putting up, makes that leader more confident. Kasi that's what, for me, is the definition of an assertive leadership. You have the purpose of doing it, then go do it. Basta i-back up mo kasi ba leader has leaders also on top of them. Kami kasi ganon. So when you give that environment of empowerment to the person, but when that person or that idea rather fails, then make sure that someone will catch the person and say, okay lang yan, let's go back to it. Kasi hindi na siya magiging assertive when he feels or she feels that, I don't have any fallback on and nobody will support me, so I will just shut up, which is very bad for a leader. They have to have that courage to make sure that they have that idea across.
Okay, thank you so much. Another question here in the chat box. It was sent to me privately, so I won't read the name. What are some tips or advice in monitoring performance and productivity for those employees doing work from home?
Kung meron pa rin po kayong company ngayon, after 2.5 years of pandemic and 2.5 years of working from home, then you already have the question. Kasi I don't think you even monitor them. So if at all, the success of your company or your team or department in that scenario wherein nobody has a choice, even yourself, you manage to survive and thrive, then don't lose that. Don't lose that trust that you gave because you didn't have the choice. Now you have the choice, you will change it. Wag po. Look at the outputs again. If you will monitor them, unless they are slipping on the timelines and their deadlines, then that's the time that you ask the question, how can I help you? What's keeping you from achieving your SLAs or your deadlines? Then yun muna, benefit of the doubt muna po when they don't deliver their outcomes. And then from there, get the help. Kung talagang pasaway, may performance management kayo, I'm sure. I-performance improvement plan nyo na po. Pero kung hindi naman, understand first what's keeping them from achieving that goal. And if you can help and if it can be helped, then go and do. Kasi kung hindi kayo makakatulog kung i-monitor nyo, i-micromanage nyo yung mga tao nyo. Give back that trust now that even you have a choice of having it hybrid or not, then don't misuse that for that particular purpose of fearing that the person is not doing what they're supposed to do. Go back po, ano ba yung goal niya, ano ba yung KPI? In the first place, klaro po ba? Kung klaro naman at hindi na-achieve, do regular check-ins. So yun po yung nangyayari. So check-ins ko, like I have a weekly meeting with my direct reports. I have a once in a while bi-weekly meeting with some of the people that they support so that I can do check-ins. Then from there, alam nila. Kasi integrity issue na po yun kung hindi sila gumagawa ng dapat nilang gawin. Then that has to be addressed in a different ways and form so long as you have proof. Yung pong Ariva seminar tungkol sa employee relations, umattend po kayo nun. Para kung may mga pasaway kayo, that's the next step that you need to do.
Yes. Thank you so much. Another anonymous question sent here. This one's interesting. What to do if employees does not want to take a leave, even if they're already encouraged? This is because all of our credit leaves are convertible to cash. not just the mandatory 5 days. They are more eager to get the cash equivalent at the end of the year.
Naku, ano po yan, maganda lang siya sa umpisa. I mean, that's something that, what was also brought about dun sa survey, brought up dun sa survey. Sabi niya, bakit hindi natin dagdagan yung convertible? Sabi ko, that's not my point. That's not what the company is advocating on. So it's the model and it's the framework of how your leave is currently being structured. Bakit po ba importante yung convertible to cash? Kulang po ba ng sweldo? Kulang po ba ng bonus at incentives? Kasi performance po tayo, diba? So it will not be sustainable long enough. What my other fear is, if that's the case, nagfa-file po ba ng tama? Kasi baka ito yung nakakabit dun sa isang question na you don't trust the employee that they're doing their job and then they're doing nothing because they don't have any output and they're not filing their leaves even though wala silang ginagawa because they want it to be converted. Alam niyo po yung we're motivating the wrong behavior, I guess. Siguro that's applicable dati nung pre-pandemic. That's fine. But right now, again, going back to my R, relevant pa po ba na i-convert lahat sa cash? Saan po ba nanggagaling yung empleyadong hindi nagte-take ng leave kasi kailangan ng pera? Baka po tingnan po natin yung kanyang pay grade at tingnan po natin yung kanyang incentives. Kung hindi po kaya ng basic salary, baka po pwedeng ilagay sa incentives and bonuses.
Miss Alpha, you lost your audio. Miss Alpha?
Ay, nawala po ba ako?
Yeah, okay. Sorry, we missed the last part.
So I was saying that, let's look at the root cause of these sets of people whom you are encouraging to take leave but does not take leave. So if the underlying factor is they need cash or they need extra money, look at the other components of your compensation package. Maybe you can put it in their incentives or performance bonus so that they can balance it off and talk to the person because that will not be sustainable. If it's being done yearly na lang. I mean, once a year, fine. Baka they need extra cash for that particular year, so they're saving it up and they're making sure that they're fit and healthy. That's fine. But having that employee do the same thing over and over again, then that's not going to be sustainable. I will ill-advise you to do that. Talk to your total rewards na po, and then see if the percentage of your employees not taking the leave is increasing, primarily because of that reason of them being able to convert it to cash.
Okay. We have another interesting question sent to us anonymously. How can we boost the morale of some employees if obviously they feel and see that the top management benefited some of their favorite close employees over the silent workers? May favoritism sa company.
I know, right? Hashtag may hugot si ate. Ano ba yun? It's very, how do you say this, subjective because it's all about perception. If there's a fact, and back again, I'm a very data person, that will support that so-called favoritism and being favored, because they are quote-unquote manipulating the KPIs or the achievements, then that has to be, for me, in my personal opinion, that has to be escalated to someone who can manage that particular scenario. Sino ba yung boss ng boss? But back again, bago po tayo mag-judgmental, bago po tayo mag-judge, let's look at first ourselves. Introspective muna tayo. Hindi kasi hindi siya maa-avoid eh. Kahit nga sa pamilya, di ba, may paborito. Kahit ano nang gawing ni kuya, ni ate, siya pa rin ang paborito ni mami. Mas masarap pa rin ang ulam niya kaysa sa'yo. Ikaw nagigisa ka lang dyan sa office, siya sinigang ang ulam niya sa bahay. So, may ganun talaga. However, back again, to be more objective about it and not to be a crybaby, kasi work na po to, work environment na po, hindi na po tayo college or high school. Then you have to talk to the person. If you have that courage to talk to that boss who plays favorites and it's already affecting you as an employee, again, wala pong personalan, data lang po. Boss, nagpa-perform po ako. If you're not getting the fair treatment, then that has to be, kung meron po kayong ethics committee, or ethics hotline, that's something that you can bring up. Kung wala naman po, then try and talk to your HR people partner or your HR person or somebody that you can trust and then have a soundboard. Magbatuhan po kayo. Kasi I can only answer you right now with the question that you have, but I obviously don't know the whole picture of it. What I can only advise you is be objective about it. Look at your data, look at your performance vis-a-vis that so-called favorite. And if there's manipulation that you assume that, hindi na to fair, then you have to stand up na and talk to someone who can help you. Not someone who can help you make the chismis even bigger. Wag po tayong marites. Kasi in the end, ikaw na nga yung argabyado. Ikaw pa ngayon yung talo. Because you did the wrong step of coming to the person who will not be able to help. Let's try and avoid that po.
Thank you. Wow, really beautiful answer, Ms. Alpha. Thank you so much. Another question here. Maraming naging anonymous question. Ayaw nilang ipakilala lang sa kanila.
Hindi naman mga tag-home credit yan. Baka may empleyado ko yan na nasa bahay.
Hindi. Here's another question. How do we manage employees that are toxic?
Ano po ba yung toxic? Parang si Britney Spears yan. Ano ba yung toxic? So they provide a very negative environment. Mga bully po ba ito? So I'm going back again to the culture of, having people, sabi nga, di ba, an idle mind is the workshop of the devil. Pag walang ginagawa ang mga taong yan, for sure, naghahanap siya ng gagawin para maging bida kapamilya siya or bida siya doon. So, nagiging toxic na kasi nega na, di ba? Nega star na. So, in terms of that employee, I will go back again to doon sa percentage ng 8-hour work niya, gaano kadami yung toxicity na nilalagay niya? Is the toxicity hampering the rest of the people's performance? Or the toxicity is just the angas, the arrogance, and what have you, di ba? May ganon may toxic na defined as arrogant or maangas dun sa office, super nega. Or is it the toxicity of a person who has an influence? Magkaiba po yun Yung wala pong influence, meaning worker or employees siya, wala lang, maangas lang siya. I mean, let them be kung hindi naman kayo na-i-impacta nun, di ba? However, if it's a person who has an influence, meaning a superior or a boss, then that's a different story. Because if it becomes too personal na, and that toxicity is impacting the rest of your environment and hampering you to perform, then I will go back again to the employee relations team that you have, wherein you can speak your mind and tell them factually what does toxicity means and how does it impact the environment. Then I think that will be more objective.
Okay, thank you. This one is another anonymous question. As process and documents is important in getting a result or right fit, in recruitment, time is critical as well. Since the current market is very competitive, how can we open up with our employer and leads that we need an automation that is relevant and really serve its purpose? Because the documentation or admin task takes too much time when we could have used it for sourcing or other urgent matters.
Yep. Look at your process po. When you look at the process, see what's not relevant anymore. We also have that issue, by the way, that there's a lot of Excels, there's a lot of forms, there's a lot of things that, when we look at it now, even to the detail of how many pages does my contract have? And seriously, I have 10 before. Binabasa ba yan ng empleyado? Di ba? Hindi. Ano ba yung kailangan niyang malaman, especially on certain levels of employees, right? Only the sweldo, the working hours, and the location. That's it. So, okay, the rest, di ba? So, nabago yun. Same thing with the recruitment. I think if your assessment is very strong in terms of yung hit rate mo or yung close rate mo is mataas, that's a good leverage of you telling your hiring manager or your boss that, I am closing at 70%, which is quite high. Would you want this to be 80, 85? If I tell you there's a 15% increase, then obviously the manager will tell you, because this is how we sold the automation, by the way, in our company. We told them that 70% ako ngayon, kung 85, gusto mo ba yun? Syempre, oo, no? That means the closing rate will be faster, it will be more efficient and all. Tapos the next question of the manager is, okay, what would it take for you to have a 15% increase? Then I go back to the process that I had improved. Going back again, data, objective, kasi hindi nila bibilin yung emotions. Kasi sasabihin lang nila sa'yo na, bakit lahat naman kayo, you're going through that. But if I can show you an increase of improvement in terms of me automating certain processes, and by the way, I'm discouraging you to automate everything. There's still some human intervention that needs to come along. But the admin work, that can be done automatically, like may HR analytics ako. So they're the ones churning out the data. My recruiters and the head of talent acquisition only looks at it and see, okay, where am I failing? So that saves time. So that saves time. Equating it with the daily rate of that person who's doing it, then that's already savings. So savings.
Miss Alpha, sorry, we can't hear anything.
Hello.
Okay, there.
Ayun po, sorry. So I was saying that only two evidences po that I would ask you to look into. What's the cost of savings, meaning the amount of time that you do it, or kung sino man yung gumagawa ng administrative work ninyo. And then the second, so money. Anong savings in terms of money? And then anong savings in terms of time? Monetizing it again with money. Kasi yun lang naman ang kailangan mo. And then will that cost savings be enough for you to buy something out of the market, di ba, na makakatulong sa'yo? Then that serves your purpose po. Talk the language of the person who will approve it. That's my advice. For me, I talk the language of my finance person to approve it. Kasi siya rin naman hiring manager eh. So syempre, lahat ng managers natin dito may interest. So it's just a matter of choosing the language that you need to talk to them.
Okay, and I think we're down to our last question because of time constraint. Here's our last question. How are you going to address employee falling under flight risk?
Flight risk, meaning magre-resign na po?
Could be.
Hindi po. Yun pong iba nga na walang flight risk, nagre-resign eh. So honestly, nowadays, so I can confidently answer you the question siguro 2.5 years ago. But right now, it's quite difficult to pinpoint. Di ba may saying nga si Richard Branson na parang you invest in that person and then the person leaves. So if you don't invest and the person stays, what happens to you? So yung mga flight risk, I would go back to, ngayon po, so may activity po ako ngayon sa office. Since 10 years old na kami, I ask my people partners to look at those employees who has been with us for more than 3 years. Unang segment. Second segment is, are they doing the role for 3 years above na? Same role, walang pagbabago. Pangatlo, anong training yung ibinigay natin for the last 3 more years na nandito sila? When you look at those data and you see that there is flight risk because we have predictive attrition, and we're doing that again with the data that we have, then we say na how do we now focus and look at people? Kasi hindi lang pwedeng touchy-feely na, oh my God, nalulungkot si Kate ngayon, baka mag-resign to. Hindi na pwedeng ganon. You look at the data of how long has the employee been with you, and wala kang binibigay sa kanya, walang empowerment, walang flexibility, so huwag ka na magtaka pag umalis. Kasi kahit na gaano kaganda ang sweldo niya, kahit gaano kaganda ang HMO ko, kahit na wellness benefit ko is patok na patok, may birthday leave pa ako, aalis pa rin siya. Bakit? Kasi walang natututunan. Walang nadagdag, ilang taon na siya. So that's what we are looking at right now. So that's what who I considered as flight risk for me. Everyone who has been doing the same thing, who has not seen the light of day and who has even not set foot in my office because he was a pandemic hire, then for me, those are flight risk. Then I need to do intervention, one word that you have kanina, na focus doon sa mga tao na yon. So hindi lang to wishy-washy na, ay, gagawin ko po to para sa lahat. Hindi po. I look at, you can look at the segments of those employees po that has potential flight risk and then address, parang nga, di ba, have the right diagnosis so you can give the person the right medicine. Baka mamaya, wrong diagnosis, wrong medicine obviously, then namatay. Hindi naman pala magre-resign. Pero since nag-assume ka dahil lungut-lungkutan si ate or si kuya, tapos sabihin niya sa'yo, ba't ako kinakausap ni HR? Ba't ako kinakausap ni Alpha? Nanahimik naman ako dito. So, ina-assume niya na magre-resign ako. Bakit? So, wala na. Nag-worry na yung tao for something that he doesn't or she doesn't even was thinking of. So since wala nang trust sa akin si Alpha, wala nang trust sa akin, mag-resign na nga lang ako. Pwede na wala palalo, di ba? So no, look at your data, talk to the people who has the influence for that particular employee, and then help out and reach out to them.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Miss Alpha. That is our last question. Maraming salamat for always saying yes to Ariva Academy. Because of that, we'd like to present the certificate. We'll just show it. Ariva Academy, learning development at its finest, gratefully presents the Certificate of Appreciation to Alpha Omega Aquino for generously sharing her professional expertise, invaluable knowledge and wisdom to the delegates of building a culture of innovation into a hybrid working model, successfully drive innovation in a flexible work environment. Held on June 24, 2022 via Zoom platform. Signed by the Chairman and Chief Strategist, Learning Event Producer J.M. Macanzo, and the President and Chief Learning and Development Strategist, Michelle Irish Malonda Samson. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our speaker, Ms. Alpha.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Kate. Thank you so much, everyone, for being very participative and for being engaged in the learning session. I hope you did take away some of these ideas, and I hope you can put it into practice as well. So don't keep that idea, don't stop having those ideas, and for sure you will make it into a reality one way or the other. Again, maraming salamat po, Ariva, Kate, maraming salamat.
Thank you so much. Now let's do a group photo with all of our participants. Don't leave yet. Join us in this group photo. So please turn on your cameras if you're able to. Let us view again the beautiful faces of our participants. There you go, there you go. Ayan, nakikita na natin sila. So again, let's keep our cameras turned on. We will be assisted with this group photo by our technical director, Jeff. Jeff?
Thank you so much, Miss Kate. So guys, please enable your camera before we start for the group picture. Yan, may habol pa po ba?
Habol pa yung makakahabol.
Yan, may mahabol pa. Okay. Okay, get ready for the first shot, guys. And 3, 2, 1, smile. For our second shot, let's do a finger heart naman po.
Finger
Opa,
heart.
like sa Korea. That's opa. Okay. Get ready. And 3, 2, 1, smile. Thank you. Back to Miss Kate.
Thank you so much, Jeff. On behalf of everyone from Ariva Academy, maraming salamat for being with us on this fabulous Friday morning. We are looking forward to welcome you again in our future learning events. By the way, the link for the next free live webinar is already here in the chat box. You can click that link and register as early as now para makasama namin kayo next month for another set of free live webinars. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful Friday. God bless you all. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you.